It's Go Acadiana, the back pages with Dr. John Sutherlin, Ken Romero, and joining us in the studio today is Tucker Sappington, Vice President of Marketing for Festival International, one of my favorite all-the-time things.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm glad to be here this afternoon.
So here we are, less than 4 weeks away.
27 days today. Are y'all ready?
Coming up fast.
Indeed. You know, listen, Kathy and I just love going to festival, and we love volunteering for festival. And this year's going to be bigger than it was last year. Every year is bigger and bigger, and love the crowd.
Exactly, and we look forward to it every year. Over the past few years, we've had, a little over 400,000 every year, close to, come through for 5 days. And this year we're really excited because we hope to eclipse that number again, and or at least sustain that number all the way through. But downtown Lafayette just becomes so vibrant and alive during those 5 days, and Acadiana really pours its heart out for us, and we're pumped about it this year. Yeah. Like I said, just 27 days away, folks.
It's going to be exciting. I tell you what, I've been coming to this. Even when I lived in New Orleans, I used to drive over. I would skip Jazz Fest, save my little money up because I was in graduate school. I didn't have anything. Come here and eat all weekend, listen to more bands you could shake a stick at, and still have like $20 left over on Monday.
Exactly. You know why? Because we're free.
Yeah. Well, we have so much community involvement. That's the difference.
That's
right
huge.
There. We have a lot of community involvement. People love to do it. Even people like this geezer here, Ken, will volunteer.
Yeah, Ken, you've been going on, 20 years or so?
I don't know. I lost count.
You lost count?
He's been going longer than it existed.
That's wow. He's been volunteering beforehand.
well, to be honest, I may have told you this before, but I'm an old guy, so I'll repeat myself. Herman Muir got together and started all this. Herman and I went to grade school, middle school, and high school together.
Well, there you go.
Man, so I've been here a long time.
Speaking of people like Herman Muir, that group, when they got together back in 85, 86, and they were looking at what do they want to do, we really want to resurge downtown Lafayette. We want to make Lafayette what it is and bring it back to the true culture that we have. And I'm sure they all look at us now, at 29 or 28 years now going, wow. This is what's happening today.
Exactly.
But it goes back to community involvement. I mean, it really is what it is. So.
Absolutely. And that's what helps to keep it free, too. The sale of the pins, obviously. And volunteerism. And how are we doing for volunteers so far?
We're doing pretty well. We're excited about it. Obviously, we went live a few weeks ago. Actually, beginning of March, we went live with our volunteer center. We are obviously always in need of volunteers. For those of y'all who don't know, it takes over 2,000 volunteers in a course of 5 days to make this happen.
Yep.
And with the pin sale is great, and that helps bring in some of our income to help really make this a free festival for everyone. But in all honesty, it is the community volunteering, and we're not having to pay those people in those certain areas because they're coming in and giving their time. And they could do anything as far as volunteering. They do security, ticket sales that y'all have done in the past.
Oh, it's fun.
They can do production, transportation, Scene de June, which is our children's area. All of those places fall into volunteering. And if it weren't for 2,000 plus volunteers, it wouldn't happen. End of story.
Right. I've been to others like Jazz Fest where you've got to put your money up front. You're not going in.
Well, the last place I lived in New Orleans, I lived literally by Jazz Fest.
Oh, really?
I lived right by the museum, and I could walk to Jazz Fest. But it's so big, and it's always hot, rainy, muddy, and everything else. And I've always loved the fact that regardless of the weather, it's always nice at our festival. I mean, it's always nice. You're never up to your eyeballs in mud. The second you're at the fairgrounds in New Orleans, you're right up to mud. And,
absolutely.
I've always liked it. Now, let me ask you this. Some of the bands that we're looking at this year.
Yeah.
The Funky Meters obviously rate real high with me, but what are some of the other ones that we're really excited about?
Well, obviously I'm a little biased, so I'm going to say Thursday night when we have Zachary Richard playing, that's going to be an awesome opportunity, especially for people from the Acadiana area, and even better is for our international travelers who have not gotten a chance to see him, even though he's been traveling around Europe lately and running around, so we're excited about that.
Sure.
Obviously, anything and everything we have, Radio is coming back as well. Obviously got some groups from Russia, some other little places that have some connection to South Louisiana, people who've been involved with this. There's Black Joe Lewis is playing, so we're very excited about that.
I'll be there for that.
Yeah, we're really pumped about that because a couple years ago was actually scheduled, but and due to some traveling conflicts and things that happened, we're not able to make it. And so people have been waiting 2 years now to see, so we're hoping that goes on. There's a lot of amazing things that are happening this year at Festival, and if I were to tell you one band over another, wouldn't be fair. My objective is build your schedule and run around all day.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I did a few years ago, one of the first times I ever saw this West African group called Zap Mama was at the festival. And literally, I've seen them now a dozen or more times around the country, and they've come back a couple of times. That's the kind of thing I like, because it exposes people to music from all over the world, and you may like Cuban music, or you may like Bulgarian, klezmer bands, which I've always been a klezmer band.
I do.
There you go. I love klezmer bands.
Yep.
Now, we would be remiss on this show if we didn't point out a little bit of the controversy this year, because from what I understand, Ken was telling me about this, apparently the Russian bands are wanting to take some of the Ukraine space.
Oh, wow, yes, today. That's what's happening today.
So listen, if y'all need an international mediator.
We do need a mediator. We're probably going to look into.
Or a food taster. I just want you to know, I will look.
Would you like mediator first or food taster first?
Well, it doesn't matter. I'll flip one. But, I will volunteer my services. Ken may be able to help us out.
I'm all for that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we need to look into that. I'm glad you pointed that out. We need to make sure that we have all of our stuff laid out.
But apparently they only wanted a tiny little piece of the stage that was closest to the water. So.
And they were ready to take it.
And they were going to take it regardless.
Wow.
We've kind of drifted. After the original Zach attack that happens with Zachary Richard, it's interesting. You mentioned international people. He lived in Canada for years, lived in France for years, and there are people that traveled, was it 4 years ago, he was here on maybe a Thursday night, and he brought another performer from France, and there were people just jammed up against that stage to see him.
Yeah.
Because he's got that kind of reputation.
He does have that reputation, and the great thing is that all of our musicians have some type of reputation that have, whether it be a local fan base or whether it be that international fan base. The beauty of this entire festival is that you get to see it all. Yeah. So you could spend thousands of dollars traveling all over the world to see this music. In all honesty, that's how much it would cost you to see this happen. Or you can come here and just simply spend 5 days in Lafayette, walk around, buy a pin, buy some tickets from us, and see this music for free.
Yep. Yeah. And if you really feel like it, you can taste some food and things like this.
Yes.
And last time we volunteered, we ran across some people who were here from Los Angeles, and they said this could not happen in Los Angeles because there would be people fighting, and it would cost you an arm and a leg to go see all of these groups. And they were just blown away that it was free.
That it was happening like that. And we get that every year, Ken. Seriously, we get that same statement every year. I'll never forget, there were groups that are setting out their chairs so far in advance, and you're like, oh, where y'all from? They're like, oh, well, we're just from right down the road. And then you meet a person right next to them, they're like, oh, we're from France, we're from Belgium. We're like, what? You're just here sitting around, and everyone's just talking and enjoying it. And obviously, yes, food is a good indicator as to what happens at a good festival, and we have good food.
Sure.
So, and we're excited about this year. I mean, I'm looking at the lineup right here. I mean, it's just, every time I look at it more and more, I'm just like, wow, we do this every year. This happens every year in South Louisiana and in Lafayette, Louisiana, nonetheless.
You're talking about different people from different parts of the planet doing the volunteering, doing the ticket sales. You'll talk to people, say, have you been here before? And they say, no, this is my first time. Where are you from? Broussard.
And
that always is a surprise.
But then the next person who comes up, I talked to one guy one day, and I said, where are you from? He said, Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what are you doing here? He says, I moved to Breaux Bridge. I work at a fried chicken place. That's what it does to people. He came to festival. He liked it so much he moved here. Yep. And that's great. Let's get back to volunteerism.
Yes.
How do people volunteer?
All right. Currently, right now, you can go to our website at festivalinternational.com/volunteer, or if you don't want to do that, you just go to the website. There's a volunteer button on the right side. Woman dancing says volunteer. Click on it. Go straight to it. Sign up. It's all electronic, and then you could pick whatever area you want to work in. Like most of our shifts are about 3 hours or so.
Right.
So it's not too long. We obviously would like for you to do as many as possible if you would.
Sure.
But one of the best things about it is that for people who've never done it, it gives you an opportunity to see another side of festival.
Sure.
It's great that you come for 5 days and spend your money and have a good time, and we appreciate that. But we do want you to take that 3 hours and say, you know what, let me see what the other side's about. We only need a little bit of information for you, just your name, some contact information, email address, and when you log in and you sign in for your time frame, we'll send you an email immediately and remind you. And one thing that's great about this one is it syncs up with your calendar on your phone, so you can say, oh, I want to put all these things together, and I know when my time is. And so that's where we are right now with it. Oh, and also you get a free T-shirt when you volunteer.
I've got a stack of them. They're just lying up in the closet.
Right.
Yeah. But what else is really nice is, you mentioned this before, there's so many different volunteer spots. You can do ticket sales, as we've done for a number of years. You can also do the merchandise tent, which is kind of intense, believe me. I've always wanted to do security, and they looked at me and they said, you're not secure.
Oh, wow.
That's biting. It's biting.
Man.
But you can do the backstage work, and Ish.
Ish.
Ish is the guy that does all the heavy lifting, man. He does.
Yeah, Ish has been around with us for a long time. He was the former VP of production. Currently, right now, Scott Feehan is our VP of production, and so they've all worked together for years, making the production side happen. Because without them, without the production side, we wouldn't have this festival.
Mm.
It would not happen. End of story. Because they put it all up and they take it all down and they take care of all of it. But we work in all different ways: marketing, programming, production, the administration side of it, board, staff. Like, it's all just, at the end of the week, it's one big family that's sitting together looking at what they created, and it's awesome.
Nice.
Excellent, excellent. By the way, the reason I mentioned Ish, he's one of your homies.
Oh, is that right?
He's Scottish.
Oh, I thought you meant he was from South Arkansas.
No,
I was like, a fellow redneck.
No.
People are here.
No, he's Scottish, and I have a hard.
What's his last name?
I don't remember.
Dr. Isfan Barkley.
Von Barkley.
Isfan Barkley.
I thought we had exterminated all of them like 200 years ago.
No, he's the director,
There's
professor of
one left.
philosophy.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
he's something else, man.
He's awesome.
I've talked to him twice,
Yeah.
face to face.
Yeah.
I haven't understood a word he said, man.
Philosophers are on a different level.
Yes.
A totally different level.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But he's just one of the great people that you
Yes.
get to volunteer with.
That's
Exactly.
cool.
It
That's
is
cool.
just a great experience. Kathy and I recommend it wholeheartedly to anybody. And for people who've never been to festival, go to festival. If you don't volunteer, just go one
to
time.
Yeah.
Because people say, I don't like that kind of music. What?
What kind of
What
music?
you mean? It's all kinds of
It's
music.
all kinds of
yeah.
music. So you don't like music.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
When you've got 100 musical acts, if we can't cover you, there's something wrong.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, this is better than going to iTunes.
Yeah.
That's
This-
right.
It is.
This is real life iTunes. Walk
This-
through and look at it. There
This
it
is
is.
Lafayette's Pandora.
This is it.
So
Absolutely.
Well, one great thing about volunteering is not only that, if we want you to come to festival, but when you get there, if you haven't signed up for a volunteer time frame, we have a volunteer center. All you got to do is walk up and say, you know what, I do want to give some time.
sure.
I'll figure it out. I'll go right here. I'll fit in right here. That's cool. I can do that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And is it going to be in the same place?
Same place,
Same
right
place.
there on Lee and Jefferson,
Lee at Jefferson, right in front of the statue.
right in front of where our first drop off for our bus, for the
Let's
transportation.
talk about the bus. John, have you ever done the bus thing?
No, I've never done the bus thing. I've always just walked it, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
No, but like you can park at Cajun Field
Right.
and we offer
picks you up
transportation.
and it drops you off.
I always end up finding a spot. I'm pretty good about finding
Well, I grew up in
spots.
Lafayette. I know where the spots are.
Yeah, I know where the
But for
spots
those
are.
of y'all who don't know where the spots
right.
are, and to help out with traffic flow, we'd love it if you participate in our transportation, which is parking at Cajun Field. It picks you up. It runs every 15 minutes. The shuttle drops
I
off,
may
and we
have
have
to do
two
that.
parking spots,
Mhm.
two drop-off spots. One at the Whitney Bank downtown Lee and Jefferson, where I said it
Right,
was.
right. And the
And
other
the
one?
other one is behind on Garfield and Buchanan.
Right.
That'd be perfect because that's close to where
Yeah, Festival
Yeah.
International.
The main
Big
stage
Park
is just
International.
right there.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's why they call it Park International.
Mm,
Excellent.
Excellent.
All right,
Excellent.
Tucker, we'll see you there. Thanks for coming in.
Not
Thank
a
you.
problem.
Appreciate
Thank y'all
it.
for having me today.
Absolutely.
Tucker Sappington, Vice President of Marketing for Festival International, joining Dr. John and I on Go Acadiana's Back Pages.